Hey guys, it's Drew again. They say that beauty is in the eye of the beholder, but if that's true, why do we spend so much time looking at all the faults of the things that other people look at as beautiful? Today I want to compare and contrast two of my passions, card collecting and woodworking. So let's check it out. Like I said, I wanted to do a comparison between woodworking and card collecting. And this year, I accomplished two big goals in each of these things and happened to do it pretty close to each other as far as time. Now, as far as the card collecting goes, you know, we've all gone through and we have a plan and a card that we really want or an item that we really want. And we have to figure out a way to do that. You know, we have to save up for it. We have to go on the hunt. And that's all part of the adventure. That's all part of the fun, is finding a way to achieve or to obtain that thing that we really want. Well, a long time ago, I thought, you know what, I want to go for a card I never thought I'd be able to afford. And I was able to do that. And what it was this 1948-49 Leaf Ted Williams. And I picked this up at the National, and I showed it off before. And it's absolutely a stunning example of this card. And to me, this is a beautiful card. But as I show it off, other people may look at it and not get it. Other people may look at it and be like, I don't get it. It's just a piece of cardboard. Why does it have something? Other people, like you guys, because we're all in this community, look at that and be like, oh my gosh, what a great card. And it's funny because there's a contrast. There's sort of a balance that us as collectors want, which is in the middle. So if someone looks and says something to me, and I did it at the National, I would show somebody this card and they'd be like, oh my goodness, Drew, this is beautiful. It's the best example of a one I've ever seen, and on and on. I'd be like, yeah, but, and I would kind of like balance it back to reality. I didn't want to hear the high compliments. But if somebody's not a card collector, they'd be like, I don't get it. And I would want to get it back to the balance and be like, yeah, but you don't understand. This is how hard it is to get a card that looks this good. And we kind of do that. You know, we compare and contrast. Well, in woodworking, I started a project literally 4 years ago. I had a vision of something I wanted to see if I could make. Now, I want to say this. When I show this off, this is not a flex on, oh, look at me and look what I did as a woodworker. But as I finish this project up, there is no real reason for me to do this outside of just seeing if I could do it. And you, as a non-woodworker, assuming you're not, you may look at this and be like, oh my gosh, this is beautiful, you did a great job. Or you may look at it and be like, I don't get it. And either way, my tendency is to want to bring that back to the middle. If you look at it and say, oh my gosh, it's so beautiful, I can't believe you did that, then I want to bring it back and be like, yeah, but it's not perfect and I didn't do this right. And if you're like, yeah, I don't get it, it's just a bunch of wood, I mean, it burns as easily as it's used. And I'll be like, yeah, are you kidding me? You know how much time I took to put into this thing? So what I made was a chessboard. And a couple of you guys have seen this, but it's not a big deal. It's just a chessboard. But what I wanted to do was I wanted to do something different that I'd never seen before. And if you look at it, every piece, every square in the chessboard is made up of individual little pieces. And those are two different species of wood. If you guys aren't familiar, it's walnut is the darker one and maple is the lighter one. And as I put it together, I just wanted to see if I could do it. The whole thing is solid wood. It took hours and hours to figure out a process, to be able to do it, sanding until there was no tomorrow. And I finished it, and it's done. And I have no real reason for it. I don't play chess. No one in my family plays chess. And so you may look at it and be like, well, you could sell it, which I could, except then I don't want to make another one, and I kind of want to see that I had it. Just like I could sell my Ted Williams and probably make a profit because I got a good deal. But when I look at this board, this reminds me of a lot of the way we collect cards. As an overall example, you look at it and you say, oh my gosh, that's beautiful. You did a great job on that thing. And I look at it, I'm like, yeah, but it's not perfect. I know where the gaps are. I know where I had to adjust things. I know where lines aren't perfectly met up. But as an overall whole, it looks pretty good. Just like on this card, I mean, PSA graded this a 1. And you may look at it and be like, well, where is it? And I'll point it out, well, there's this little issue on it. But you know what I decided to do? I'm not going to point out what the issue on this card is, just like I'm not going to point out where I screwed up on this chessboard. To me, when you have a piece like this chessboard or like this card or anything else that we do, there's this sort of psychology that we don't understand as humans to want to bring things back to the middle. And whether you look at this card and say, that's the best looking one I've ever seen, and I want to pull it back and say, yeah, but it's not perfect, it's not a 10, it's a 1, Or you look at it and say, I don't get it. I'll be like, yeah, but you don't understand how hard this card is. I do the same thing with a chessboard. And it's kind of a funny thought to me. It's sort of an interesting study in human behavior to look at why we do this sort of thing. And it's kind of an irrational mindset, but I do it all the time, and honestly, so do all you guys. I see people all the time show a card and say, oh, I picked up this card, I wanted this card, this is a big deal, this is what I wanted, and then they point it really close to the camera and say, yeah, but this corner is dinged, and this edge is a little rough, and the back has got a little mark, or whatever the issue of the card is. Why do we do that? Because as a non-woodworker, you may look at this chessboard and say, that's beautiful. You did a great job. And again, I'm not trying to flex on this. This is the reactions I've had as I've shown this off. But you may look at that and not understand how it's made, not understand the processes that had to be done, the tools that I had to use, and what to do. But you look at it and say, I get it, or I don't get it. And it's the same thing with card collecting. A non-card collector could look at this and say, I get it, or I don't get it. And so then we seek out people. So, you know, if I show this to a woodworker may be a little bit more impressed because they understand that's a hard thing to do, or they may be more like, yeah, I know the secret. I peeked behind the curtain. I know how that process is done. It's not as magical as it appears to a non-woodworker. Just like as a card collector, you know, someone who looks at a card may say, I don't get it, or like, oh my gosh, that's really beautiful. So it's kind of an interesting comparison and contrast. So I don't know, where do you land on this stuff? Like, not do you like my chessboard or do you like my Ted Williams? It's more like, do you put your own collection down when people are looking at it? Like, think about that the next time you do that. As you're showing off a card, or you're showing off a pickup, and you're showing off something, don't point out the little edge. Don't point out the corner that's soft. Don't point out the little mark on the back, and just look at it as a whole and say, this as a whole is something that I wanted to achieve. I found a way to do it, and now I have it, and now I'm enjoying the fact that I have it. I look at this and I remember the struggle that I took to figure this out. I remember the processes it took to be able to get this done. I remember all the different issues and hurdles that I had to overcome in order to be able to make this as a complete piece. I want to look at this as what it is from out here, not up here where I can point out and this doesn't work, or this doesn't match up, or something like that. I just want to enjoy this for what it is, which to me was a process to be able to get something. When I look at this card or any other one that I might have, I want to look at it and be like, I can't believe I own a Leaf Ted Williams, not I can't believe I got one but it still has this one little issue with it, or whatever. So enjoy whatever you have, and whether you're into woodworking, probably not watching this video, or card collecting, enjoy your cards. Don't put them down because we have this desire to, you know, pull it back to the center. Just enjoy it for what it is, and then tell that story. Tell the story of how you have it, why you have it, why you want to keep it. I could easily sell this card and probably make a little profit on it, but the profit is not worth, to me, the struggle that it took to be able to obtain this card, and then the story that's connected to getting this card. So anyway, that's my thoughts on this thing. I just thought it was kind of interesting as I finished up this chessboard to compare it to something else. I don't know if I'm making this clear. I hope you guys understand what I'm trying to say, but I appreciate you guys watching as always. Until next time, you guys be good.